Welcome back, everybody. As you'll see, it's just Deb Seymour and myself. Welcome back to High Yanxiety. Check this out. We have theme music. I just learned we could do that. We'll figure that out a little better for next time. Anyway, Deb, how are you?
Are you talking?
Well, I mean, I thought so.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
We're all professional here. You know, it's a what are you gonna do?
Well, especially at 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock. I know. I'm still dealing with a sunset here. So I mean,
Yeah.
Granted, I sat in traffic for 3 hours today, so that was.
I know, and but that traffic from Los Angeles to the desert is
it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah. And especially with two little dogs in the car, it's a real trip. But okay, Wayne Franklin will be joining us shortly. He's having technical difficulties, which to me means that he's probably just watching the Ravens game until he can't anymore. So Deb, we've got quite a bit to talk about what the hell's going on in
Yankee land. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been quite the day. I thought I had a weird day, but I don't know. I think Michael Kay and Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are having weirder days than we are.
Lately, certainly.
Especially the last 2 days, yesterday and today. Things have gotten weird in Yankee land. So as we wait on our buddy Wayne Franklin and Joe Blow himself, Mike Nelson, maybe you and I should play a little game. Now, the percentage of Aaron Boone coming back, I'm going to say 99%, 99 and 44 100ths%, to quote the old Ivory Soap line.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. What do you think the percentage is that Boone is back with Cashman at the helm?
I'd go higher, 99.999999.
Damn. Okay, now this is like the Price is Right. Like somebody should come in and bet $1 and we're good. Now Cashman, being that he doesn't have a contract, I'm going 87%.
No, not according to what Hal Steinbrenner has said.
Yeah.
Hal is not one of these guys who manipulates the media. I don't think he knows how to do that or is good at it. I'm sorry?
You don't think he's savvy enough?
I don't, and I don't think he has any interest in it. I think you ask him a question, he's a straight shooter. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's not careful about what he says, but I think my perception is that he's a fairly straight shooter. So if you ask him, is Brian Cashman coming back? And he says, yes, Cashman's coming back. If you ask him, is Aaron Boone coming back? And he says, yes, Boone's coming back. Unless either of the two of them decide to leave for whatever reason.
Mutually parting ways. Well, instead of parting ways, we have incoming traffic. We have Mr. Mike Nelson, Joe Blow himself. How are you? He's just walking through the halls of.
I am. I'm just leisurely walking through, looking for my sanity. I'm looking for my Yankee sanity, and
you're going to be walking around for this entire half hour, aren't you?
I think I'm going to pace until February. I'm just going to pace.
You need some new carpeting, man. Just get some comfy shoes and just go back and forth.
I do. I got to wear grip slippers because I don't want to fall and break a hip. So I'm just watching their Tom Brady should have retired tour.
Oh yeah, well.
Oh yeah, that's
there you go. So Mike, what do you think the odds are?
Speaking of Tom Brady retiring, we have Wayne Franklin.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that's not on behind you.
What?
The Tom Brady retirement tour.
Oh, if I had that on, I would be totally turning my back on you every 5 seconds.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome back to High Yanxiety. The gang's all here. We have quite a bit to talk about. Deb and I started talking a little bit about the weirdness going on between the media and the team and the fans. And we were playing a little game about, kind of like Price is Right. What percentage do you think? We were just at the question, what percentage do you think that Brian Cashman comes back? I gave about an 87% because Hal didn't exactly say we're signing him, etc. etc. Deb, you're just convinced, right?
I'm pretty convinced. I mean, some of the best other general managers who might be persuaded to come to the Yankees are already talking to other teams. I read this morning that a good chance that David Stearns might be going to the Mets, which would be a huge, huge coup for the Mets. But that would make him obviously unavailable to the Yankees. And I just don't know if there are that many other available really good GMs out there who would be considered higher caliber than Brian Cashman at this point.
Well, that's a good point. Wayne, what do you think about this? What do you think about Cashman coming back? Is this a given, or is there like a percentage you'd give it?
99.9%.
That's pretty damn high.
That's exactly what I had said. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, Mike Joe Blow Nelson over here.
Yeah, I just threw up in my mouth. He's coming back. I mean, he's coming back. I mean, there's no that he's had hell. It's too comfortable. Number one, and Deb's right. Who are they going to get? Right? Who are they going to get? They're not going to. Jeter's not taking that job.
No.
I mean, no matter what Twitter world says, Mariano Rivera's not taking that job. CC's not managing. Cohn's not managing. I mean, everybody's got to get over this. Got to get over it. Cashman's coming back. He's only been there for 135 years, and they think that maybe the ghost of Gene Michael will, jump in him on Halloween and he'll get his sanity. He'll sign Judge in the 15-day period. They're the only people that can talk to him, and he'll make a trade for Trout, and
Oh, look at you!
Oh, trade for Trout. I don't think that's a desirable trade.
He'll sign DeGrom the day that whatever. I mean, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's there. It's way too comfortable for Hal, and it's just I don't think Hal likes to make decisions, frankly.
No,
I think that the status quo. I mean, he got the team, and he really hasn't done anything. Like he's really just let Cashman and the baseball people and Randy Levine and the nerd room run it. And he hasn't made any decision of consequence because I don't know if he's afraid to make a decision or he just figures I own the team and I'm just going to wait for the check to come in every month and see how my profit goes up.
I honestly don't think he's invested the way his father was invested.
Oh, no, not
I'm not talking about money. He was putting money aside. I think he's just not invested in winning and in the success of the team in the same way that his father was. It's as long as the business is going to his satisfaction.
And it's not different than it's on a much, much bigger scale, of course, because it's the Yankees. But how many family businesses have you seen or experienced that, the parents broke their back, were all in, made created a wonderful business, and then they left it to one of their kids, and their kids just didn't care as much, and the business just was never the same. Even if it still sustained itself and it was a good business, it didn't have the culture and the passion that the parents who started it had.
Well, here's my convoluted as it may be theory is that when you had Hal and Hank, there you had the passion and the love for the game and the team in Hank. Might not have had the best business acumen of his father, but then that's what Hal was for. So the two of them together, you have a weird yin yang of, still not quite George Steinbrenner, but at least kind of, a close approximation. Now, Hank is no longer with us, obviously, so you're left with just the one with the business acumen. Is that good enough for the Yankees to survive and to compete and to win? Not just to compete, because they've been competing. They're the best at competing, and that's what Aaron Boone was talking about all year. We showed good compete, which drove me up a fucking wall. Sorry, but Wayne, is that good enough for to move forward and to have another good 5-6 year run where you're in 4 World Series, maybe winning 3?
Yeah, but
it is without that
with exceptions. I mean, it's good for the owner to stay out of the day-to-day stuff. It is.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, but you know, you hire guys who are smarter than you at the business to run it. So that's where it comes down to. The guys between Hal and Aaron Boone, everybody in between there putting those teams together, maybe getting input from Aaron Boone possibly, but other than that, we'd have to try and resurrect Branch Rickey and bring him in or something.
That's fine by me.
I don't know,
The
man.
ghost of Branch Rickey, or you know what? I mean, somebody should have started cloning Brian Sabian years ago. Just give me a younger clone of Brian Sabian. I would have been quite all right with that.
Yeah.
You know, that guy could put a team together. You know, not saying he's an old man, but you know, I don't know if he's, you know, I mean, you know how the game is now. They might think he's, you know, too old for the role. Granted, you have Jack McKeon still serving in an advisory role, and he's what, 93. So God bless him.
Yeah.
But wait, now was George still like around when you were with the team?
Yeah.
Like hands on around, or was he kind of?
Yeah, he came and introduced himself to me the first day I was there.
No way.
Yeah.
See, but I mean, well, see now, how hands on was he at that point?
I don't know.
Was Torrey able to kind of fend them off?
Yeah, I think Torrey was in charge of it all. Like once you got in that clubhouse, that was Joe's, you know, sanctuary. That was his zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He earned that.
yeah, of course he did. And you know, I mean, I know they would butt heads a little bit, but I mean, it just seemed like, you know, Steinbrenner gave Torrey.
That's what he loved.
Torrey
That's what Steinbrenner wanted.
Torrey got him exactly what he wanted. He got him a championship. You know, it's not just about putting asses in the seats. If you win championships, the asses will be in those seats. So, you know,
that's right. He didn't want ass kissers, man. He didn't want ass kissers.
Yeah.
No way.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, like, but I mean, so if he showed up in the clubhouse, where, you know, did everybody kind of like, oh shit, is, you know? But I mean, but was he a little more rah because the team was winning at that time?
Yeah, I mean, and everybody in there that I played in there with, they were all bigger stars than he was. So I mean, they had clout too, man. They did.
That's a good point.
Undoubtedly,
that's a good point. You know, and speaking of which, you know, let's talk about one of those guys, Mariano Rivera, and what he came out and said. I think we all know what he came out and said before somebody may have gotten to him. Now, Deb told me that while I was driving back and sitting in traffic, that he walked it back some.
He walked it back
out of context. I want to get your guys' opinions on it, because Mariano to me seems like the kind of guy who he just is gonna say what he means, and he probably meant it. And I don't necessarily believe that somebody didn't get to him and tell him to walk him back, and he did, or else he'd suffer the fate of Goose Gossage at Old Frickin' Timers Day. So let's go around the horn. Deb, I'll start with you.
You know, I think Mariano has always been somebody who is very careful about what he says, and he's very diplomatic. So anything that he does deliver to the media is thought out. I don't think he just is an off-the-cuff kind of guy. So that being said, when he said what he appeared to have said about the fact that the manager in this case should pay the price and you can't fire all the players, and the manager being Aaron Boone, I think the remarks from a couple of days ago were pretty clear as to his intent. But I you know, the fact that he walked it back today and said his remarks were taken out of context, and he meant what he really meant is that the manager always pays the price, even though it was the players who didn't execute. That's all he meant, and he was not directing his comments at the Yankees or Aaron Boone in particular. You know, just the fact that he felt the need to do that. Somebody said something to him. That didn't just occur. He didn't wake up this morning and spontaneously think, I need to walk back, you know, what I said yesterday.
No,
I just don't believe that.
I agree.
Right.
Let's go to Joe Blow.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that because I think he's a guy that speaks from his heart, right? And he's a mean what he says and says what he means guy. Like his character is impeccable, right? So you can agree or disagree with where he sits on various things, but he comes from the right place all the time, and if he said it, he meant it. But for him to walk it back, so what I take from that is the thing that I've been like harping on for the last 4 years is that the players can hold each other accountable to a point.
Mhm.
And Wayne can speak to this much better than I can, right? Like you guys can get in each other's face. But at the end of the day, the guy that's steering the ship, the manager, has to be able to hold players accountable. And it doesn't have to be publicly. I mean, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be Billy Martin ranting in the media that this guy sucks and he can't play.
That's over.
He doesn't have to be doing
that. Wouldn't work now.
But it does have to be, when Josh Donaldson jogs when he thinks it hits a home run and then gets thrown behind and then goes back in the game. Like, to me, there's no accountability. Like, there's got to be a level of accountability. That's what, for him to walk it back, that's what I read from that, is that there's no accountability coming from the manager to the players.
Mhm.
But he
can see that.
he meant what he said when he said it. There's no question in my mind that he meant it. And CeCe said a very similar thing. So
yeah,
Mhm.
Wayne, you played with the guy. You I'm sure sat in the bullpen with the guy for hours at a time, days at a time, months at a time. So you know this man. And for him to, come out and say what obviously seemed like his, that was true to him, and then to walk it back today, what does that tell you? I mean, does that surprise you?
I mean, if you're not mentioning names, it sounds like The Godfather. I mean, is he Fredo? But it does. That's what it felt like. Somebody got to him. When you said somebody got to him, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Never turn your back on the family, man. But I hope that's not what happened, man. Because, when I was playing, the thing we always respected the most was the Players' Choice Awards. And we would get those towards the end of the season. We'd fill them out. And pretty much back then, when I was playing there, throughout the entire, major leagues, to a man, it was like Mariano was the most popular guy in baseball to his peers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you have that clout, you don't have to walk anything back. There's nothing you have to do. You don't have to sit there and say, well, I messed up. No, you don't have to apologize for that, because even if you said it directly, yes, he should be fired. It's okay to say that, because, just like it's okay for a GM to make a move because it's his job. Even if it's the wrong move, it doesn't matter. He still gets to make the calls. So Mariano should be able to say what he wants to say. He's not a Yankee anymore. In that case, he's not a Yankee anymore. He doesn't get paid by the Yankees now. I mean, he's not on their payroll. So
shows up at spring training.
He's a grown-ass man, and he can make his own decision. And there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with what he said.
I mean, of course, Jeter gave the most Jeter response ever, where, which of course he's going to, because that's just what he does. Although, I don't know, did you notice his demeanor change a bit? Like when he got to Cashman? I don't think there's any love lost between him and Cashman.
I don't think
whatever reason.
Yeah.
But that's just what I picked up. His body language changed, like he made like a weird, I just ate a freaking lemon face. And
they had a contract dispute while he was still a player.
Oh yeah.
So that's,
of course,
that's a fact.
But I wonder if it stems from that, or if he just,
it does.
And he's just never gotten it. He can hold a grudge then,
Well, I mean, who couldn't? But
yeah, I mean,
it's also Jeter has now
99% of the fans in New York are holding a grudge against Cashman right now. So I mean, he can just get in fucking line. So,
well, he's also sat in the chair that Cashman's sitting in by now, right? Yeah. As the vice president of operations for the Marlins. So he kind of knows what kinds of decisions need to be made and how they need to be made. I mean, he's in a position to be critical of Cashman if he so chooses. But if you recall, what he actually said was, Brian Cashman, ask Hal. Why are you asking me?
Exactly.
That was what he said.
Which was pretty interesting. And, of course, he said ultimately, and I think he likes Boone. I think he gets along with Boone. And, because he didn't crush Boone at all. He did give the ultimately a false on the players line. So, maybe, he was like, he was a good teammate. He's a friend, et cetera, et cetera. So I get him not crushing Boone, but that I honestly didn't put two and two together. That's probably why Cashman was not his favorite guy in the world, was that contract. And just goes to show you, Hall of Famers, they're just like us. Next order of business.
Yes, they are.
Exactly. We can all have an issue with Brian Cashman for whatever the hell reason.
Right.
Next order of business is I heard rumors. I don't know how true they are. Again, I was in the car all day, so I really don't know about an Anthony Rizzo opt-out. Did anyone hear about this? And if so, please enlighten me.
Well, he does have an opt-out. That was
no. I know he's got the option,
Yeah.
the opt-out option, but that he was leaning towards opting out.
What I've read, and I don't know how much I believe this, but what I've read is that he really does want to come back to the Yankees, but not at the salary they were paying him this year. And so if he exercises the opt-out, it'll be to negotiate with he becomes a free agent and he gets to negotiate, and he would very likely go back to the Yankees, but he would try to come back at a higher salary.
I think he wants a couple more years too.
Yeah.
Like I think he wants to,
would you guys, that begs the question. I'll ask you first, Mike. I mean, would you give that to him? If put your Cashman hat on and get in your sleeping bag on the street and rappel down a building and start thinking.
Stop thinking about Covenant House and think about Rizzo. I would resign. I would resign him only because, well, not only because. So I would resign him because he can still play. Right, he's a platinum glove first baseman, and we haven't had that since Mattingly left. Right, so that settles. I mean, Tex was fine, but
Tex was smooth, but
Rizzo's he's a lefty bat in that lineup. He's good in the clubhouse. He knows how to win. He brings a different personality to that team that I think that they need. So he brings a leadership that helps the younger players, and then that would settle first base, and that takes care of it. They have so many other issues that they need to deal with. If you can cross first base off, then just cross it off and get it done. And there's nobody in the system it's not like there's anybody in the system that's waiting to come up and play first base.
That's right.
We'll just take somebody from another position and throw them over there anyway.
They'll move
the Yankees never do that.
Yeah, they're gonna move Donaldson there.
Oh God, we've never seen that.
No, we're messing around with a platinum glove second baseman and playing him at third, first, and DH instead of
everywhere else.
Second base where he belongs. And I get that there's a glut there, but I would resign Rizzo.
I agree.
And I'd give him an extra year and give him an option in year 3 and
sign him for 2
more money.
and an option for the third.
You got money coming off the books. You can give him a little bit of that. I know.
No, I can absolutely see that. Wayne, I'm going to ask you the same question. I mean, plus, I mean, if you ask me, he brings a lot to the clubhouse too, and you need that. You need that guy in the clubhouse. He can win. I think he does hold some players accountable as much as he can in what his role is. What would you do with Rizzo? Would you bring him back?
Yeah, and I have kind of a good reason why. I think his numbers are going to be better next year.
Shift
is going.
Yep.
Going to be a good sign because he's going to hit for a higher average. He's going to be on base more, and maybe drive in a lot more runs.
And I mean, who doesn't like that?
Right.
Well, I mean, there are people that tell you that RBI don't matter, but we don't listen to them anyway.
He could be Tino Martinez next year.
When has that ever been bad? So that would be perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. Deb, what are you doing with Anthony Rizzo?
I mean, I think as I said, I think the opt-out is really to negotiate a higher salary with the Yankees. At this stage of his career, I don't think he wants to relocate his family again, relocate himself again even. And if he does want to play, as Mike was saying, if he wants to play for another couple of years and not just one more year, then he would be trying to negotiate with another club who hasn't had him before as a player for a couple of years at this age at which, players very often start thinking about retiring. So, even though I think the entire baseball world recognizes with a player like Anthony Rizzo that with the shift going away, the odds are he'll hit better next year, no matter where he is, he'd have to end up in a ballpark that's conducive to a left-handed hitter, even with the shift going away, for that to be really beneficial to that particular ball club. And then in addition to that, it would have to be a team that really needs a first baseman and is willing to pay him what he wants. So, I think we're talking about the Yankees here. I don't see another team really fitting the bill. I really think the opt-out is about more money. I don't think.
Well, and don't forget, he's tested the market. He's tested the market. He's had to test the market the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he was not the first baseman signed in either of those 2 years.
That's correct.
So he's already seen it's a tight market, and he's comfortable.
Yeah, I think he likes playing for the Yankees and gets, obviously, at least from what we see in the dugout, he gets along great with Aaron Boone.
Yep.
And, we're 99.99% sure Boone is going to be back, if not 100% sure. So whatever happens with Judge, even though that's his bestie, he gets along with Aaron Boone, and that's a factor as well.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, you bring up Judge. Like I said, I was in LA for the last 2 days, and I threw on sports radio there just to see what, take the temperature. I figured it would be people like we would do in, New York and just bitching about the Dodgers, though. And they were talking a lot about Aaron Judge. They brought up that name quite a bit. If he walks, I don't know if Rizzo follows him to LA, but if he walks and goes to LA, that if they just let Trey Turner go, that's just ridiculous. So just a hypothetical from what I heard on the radio in LA today, they're talking about putting Judge in right field, moving Mookie Betts to second base.
Mhm.
Do you think that would be better than trying to stick Gleyber Torres at shortstop and DJ LeMahieu at first base, guys out of position? Because I sure as hell do. I don't know. I mean, do you think that something like that would work? Do you think there's enough room in that clubhouse for that kind of star power?
I think it's a great question. Mookie playing second is not a question. I mean, I think he can play anywhere.
Mhm.
I don't think that's really an issue. I don't think that's the real question, I guess is what I'm saying. The question is Judge a fit for the Dodgers? And the Dodgers resemble the Yankees in some ways in terms of the type of machine they run.
By design.
Past them quite a bit. Yeah, exactly. By design.
Yeah, by design. They're exactly.
It might have taken 50 some odd years, but they finally surpassed them at this point.
But they run, they're run like a big machine the same way the Yankees are. Everybody's a little cog in that machine and, in that wheel, if you will. And so in that sense, I think, Judge might be a fit in the same way that he's been the kind of cog in the wheel for the Yankees that they needed him to be. But the other thing about the Dodgers is, of course, they have many more stars on their team than the Yankees do at this point. And what does that say about Judge's value as a star in that context?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you're going to agree with me. I mean, the star power is there, but it also means that I don't think he wouldn't have to carry the Dodgers for a month and a half on his back like he did this team. Judge could, kind of just do his thing, relax, be loosey-goosey. He might hit 79.
Let Freeman be the star for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then let Mookie be the star. And then so
that's right.
Wayne, what do you think about that? I mean, you think that could relax him enough? Because I don't think he's getting that in San Francisco.
I don't think he's going to be any more relaxed no matter where he goes. He's perfectly fine where he is, but in that sense. But moving Mookie to second, I mean, that's easily done in LA. I mean, you got Max Muncy at second sometimes too. I mean,
they'll stick anybody anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, it's a better option than Max Muncy at second.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's definitely a better option. Mike, what do you got before we
Cassius
start wrapping it
my
up?
dog is barking because there's any talk of Judge not being on the Yankees gets him very upset. So, but I mean,
peeing on anything.
I mean, to agree with everybody, like. I mean, Mookie could play second easily. I mean, I think Mookie could play any place, but maybe he probably could catch if you want him to. He's a better right fielder than Judge. I mean, Yankee fans don't want to admit that, but he is. He's an elite athlete. I mean, whatever lacks Judge playing in LA, I think to Wayne's point, I think Aaron Judge is who he is, and he's going to be the same person no matter what uniform he puts on. He's going to want to be successful every team to win. I mean, he's a team-first guy, and I don't know. Every time these conversations come up about him being someplace else, I try not to listen because
it's unnatural.
I'm not.
Doesn't seem right.
I would not be surprised because the money's going to be outrageous. right?
Yeah.
And any of us in his shoes, if somebody rolled $400 million in front of you, no matter how much you liked where you worked, you'd be like, maybe I better look at this.
Yeah, let me think about this.
I better really take a look at this, and then add that he's got Scott Boras as an agent, so he's going to get paid. There's no doubt about it. But I just think it would be a colossal mistake on every possible level, from a baseball team standpoint as it's constructed today, from a PR standpoint, and then for him with the marketing opportunities that are available to him in New York, that you can't forget. I mean, he can make another big pie, millions and millions of dollars as a baseball in the biggest market in the United States for the sport.
Yeah, the endorsements are going to be there. I mean,
the endorsements are
going to
be LA or New York. He's going to get the endorsements. San Francisco, he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, what's he going to sit in Ghirardelli Square and have chocolate in his hand? People are going to walk up to him and he's going to sign a piece of chocolate, and that's going to be his endorsement deal. I mean, there's not like
be riding a seal in a new Nike commercial.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't see him ending up with
his face will be on the trolleys. I mean,
I still think it's a possibility, but I mean, I do think for all the reasons that all you guys mentioned that I mean, LA, I mean, and Lord knows they have the money.
Yeah,
to pony up, man.
San Diego seems to have the money too, and they're not afraid to spend it. And
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think they have to be at their.
Do you think that? Do you think they would think twice about moving Soto to left and putting Judge in right? They wouldn't think twice about that.
No, probably but I think in terms of the money, they're looking at having to sign Soto if they want to keep him to a huge.
I don't know if they're going to pony up and do that long term with Soto either, though. I just don't know if they. I don't know if they can do that. I mean, you got Tatis. I mean, if they can get rid of his contract after what he did to that team, maybe. But I don't see that. I think they shot themselves in the foot signing him for like 13, 14 years, whatever the hell it was. But
I don't see them making the investment in Judge instead of Soto, though. I guess that's my point.
No, I think they do everything they can to keep Soto. But I mean, I think that's again, it comes up to Soto, and he's got Scott Boras, and I wonder if he's just. Going to do the same thing, test the market, see what he can get, try and get the biggest contract ever.
Most likely.
We'll see. It's the world we live in now. So, well, we're almost about 8. We got about 8 minutes before we're out of here. So, speaking about Tatis and then talking about moving people around, how the Yankees had moved Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to shortstop, where he obviously was not the best ever, but he was also not his natural position. It's not where he won a Gold Glove. We have another big free agent shortstop class coming out. If Judge decides to walk, I mean, if the Yankees want to win, I think you just you have to sign Trey Turner or Xander or one of these guys. You have to make a splash. You have to be the Yankees. You have to open your checkbook, sign them both, sign everybody. You know what? You want to keep holding on to these guys because, I mean, I love what I see of Anthony Volpe in the minors, but do you think he's going to be Trey Turner? Because I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if he's going to turn into Trey Turner. You have the opportunity to get a guy of that magnitude who can win you a batting title, play a pretty solid shortstop, you get him. And that's what the Yankees used to do. And then they were always in the mix instead of just petering out in the playoffs. So I'll start with you this time, Wayne. Would you grab one of these shortstops, and if so, who?
I would try to sign both of them. If they can't sign Judge, both of them. Put Turner at second, Bogarts at short, and then you got Bader in center. If you're strong up the middle, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of range right there. It's a lot of range, but I mean that's not realistic. But the Yankees.
You're looking at about like a $340 million payroll if you pull that one.
Yeah, but the Yankees have never lost a free agent like Judge. Like that homegrown, it's never been done by them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you set that precedence, man, that's really going to that'll put a hole in that franchise. I mean, it can't happen. It just can't happen. It just can't happen.
I'm with you, Mike. What do you think? I mean, would you open up the checkbook and even if Judge doesn't walk and they can get one of these guys relatively affordable, would you grab one of these guys?
I'd grab Bogarts in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, I love Trey Turner. Trey Turner's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I mean, he gives you everything.
But Bogarts fits. Bogarts fits on that.
Yeah.
Bogarts fits everywhere in that lineup. I
Yeah.
mean, he fits. He can hit from 2 to 6. I mean, and he plays a good short.
Yeah.
And if you're using him as a placeholder at short until Peraza, or if you don't move Volpe to second, and he can go to third. I mean, he's a good fielder.
Good athlete.
He could handle New York, because
Yes.
if he can handle Boston,
He can handle Boston. He can handle
New York. So it's not that hard. It's not that far fetched to think that he couldn't handle it.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd look at him anyway, and I have a feeling he's going to be on the market because it sounds like they're close to locking Devers up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the
They're
other.
close to
Time Bloom
7
doesn't
years,
seem like
7 years,
I mean,
big money, and they're not going to.
Which is
Don't forget
smart.
about Swanson too, though. Don't forget about him.
Well, he's a hell of a
Swanson
he can-
is, yeah, he's around
can
too.
play.
Yeah,
Swanson's around
he's
too.
available as well.
He can play.
Yep.
I mean, I think they learned their lesson. It's one of the few. That's one of the few Braves. I mean, he struggled early in his career, and it's one of the few young guys that they haven't signed early, and haven't gotten off the market quickly, and now he's hitting the market, and that's a big decision for them.
Well, I mean,
He's
got
not
so much better
untouchable to them.
defensively
They
as
don't
well. I
find him
mean, he's been
untouchable.
working with Ron Washington every day. I mean, all of a sudden now he's a pretty damn good defensive shortstop.
Right.
Deb, shortstop. What do you think?
I honestly believe Cashman when he says he's going to stick with Peraza and Volpe for that role.
Yeah,
I
that's
do,
what
I
I
do
believe
not
is going
think
to happen.
that's where they're going to spend their money. It may disappoint fans again, the same way that fans who in the past year wanted Correa signed by the Yankees and it didn't happen. I
Forgot about Correa. Him too.
If fans are counting on Bogarts or Trey Turner at Yankee shortstop, I think they're going to be disappointed. I'm just being honest and realistic here. I think that the Yankees are going to spend a lot of money on Judge to try to retain him, and then the question is what they do about bullpen pitching and what they do about other holes that they have that they're going to have to fill. I mean, what are they going to do in left field, for example? Right? I mean, we assume they're going to try to trade Aaron Hicks, but you need a left fielder. So, there may have to be money spent there somehow, or at least prospects. So,
I mean, there is quite there's a nice chunk of money coming off the books too.
They do, and I have
So
no
that
doubt
helps.
though that when they say they're going to go with Volpe and Peraza as their future at shortstop, they mean that. And I personally would love to see Bogarts on the Yankees. I think he's the perfect fit. He would be my choice of the free agent class at shortstop right now, but I just don't see them spending the money on that position at the moment.
Well, I agree with you. All I know is, Volpe and Peraza, this thing better work out. That's all I know. Or else people are
100%.
going to be standing outside Yankee Stadium with torches and pitchforks because, it better work.
Well, if it doesn't
this
work, we'll
plan
trade
better
for Arenado. If it doesn't work, we'll trade for Arenado and move him to short.
Well, he's opting out too, but I
just-
think that's for the same reason.
You just got to find every Gold Glove
more
third
money.
baseman and turn him
This
into
is
a
the only
short.
opt out he has in his contract, so he's going to do it. And he likes it in St. Louis. I think he goes back.
Of course he does.
But,
But,
Yeah,
but
I think so.
so then any third baseman that's won a Gold Glove in the last 5 years? That's a shortstop candidate for the Yankees. That seems to be a claim.
In the
Yeah,
case
no,
of
you're
the
right.
Yankees,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. So you know what? For next time, we're going to talk about that bullpen, and then we're going to talk about more pitchforks and torches and all that kind of stuff. I want to thank you guys for coming on.
Thank
Wayne
you.
Franklin, Mr. Joe Blow, Ms. Deb Seymour.
Thank you.
And, it's been a good day. I'm excited to sit down on my couch, have something to eat. I went over to the Marucci Hitters House in Los Angeles this morning, and I came very, very close to telling them that they probably should have taken that Bringer of Rain model that they had in the front of the rack and just kind of pushed it in the back. Josh Donaldson model doesn't need to be front and center. At least put the Glaber one in front.
Right.
But it's I felt better. That or they need to redesign it. That's all. Maybe they need to do a little more engineering on that Bringer of Rain Marucci bat. But
Maybe they need some wood putty to fill a hole in the middle of the bed and
make it like a cricket panel at this point.
some
But
plastic
again,
wood.
Wayne, Mike, but thank you again. We'll do this again next time. We'll get into because in the next few days something weird's going to happen that we're going to have to talk about, and it always does. So,
Yeah, it'll be Kyle
I'll say
Schwarber
thank you,
breaking the
guys.
train.
something. And let's go. World Series starts tomorrow. We'll talk about that too. So, thank you, everybody. Tip of the cap, and we'll catch you next time on High Anxiety.
Adios.
Bye.
Later, guys. Go Ravens. All right.